Hey guys, Ymir is out, so let's do a quick review on what he does, how useful he is, and whether or not you should be pulling for him. This video is going to be a little bit detailed because his passive is quite complicated and we're going to spend quite a bit of time discussing the ins and outs of it, but let's get into this. So here is Ymir. You can see he's pretty fast. He's got really low attack and pretty decent HP. So let's go through his skills. His skill is very interesting. It hits 4 people, but it does different things based on their energy. So if they have 50 or less, that includes 50. So at the start of battle, they all start with 50. He has a chance to disarm them. Disarm is a new crowd control that basically means you can use your skills, but you cannot use regular attacks. So if you are stuck with like less than 50 energy, you just don't get a turn. So that's pretty cool. And actually, I don't know if this is blocked by bubble or not. That one we didn't check, but I'm gonna guess it is. And if they have more than 50 energy, this is 51 or higher, then he has a 65% chance to silence. So he does have a very interesting crowd control that always will have some sort of an effect with a very high percentage rate. 50 is a very high percentage rate, depending on their energy. So that's pretty cool. He heals, he does extra damage if they have high HP, blah, blah, blah. His first passive is just stuff. It's just passive stats. His regular attack does do 11% max HP to an enemy, which is pretty amazing. Pretty strong for a single hit, and also completely... No, that's not true. It is capped at 200% of his attack, so it does matter on his attack. But that's a caveat that we'll get into. This one is very interesting, is every time he's hit, he gains some sort of stats. I don't think too much on this one because this is not really what we're using him for. The third one is where it gets very interesting. So he has this thing where he takes the attack stat of the highest attack enemy on the enemy team and swaps it with his own. And so here's what we know about this. One, it does not work in PvE. So it does not work in Den or Planet Trial. It likely doesn't work on Void Boss. And it does only work in... It works on Void enemies. It works in Expedition. It works in PvP. Now, when it says swaps, it actually doesn't swap. What he does is he drains their attack by up to 4 times his own attack, and he absorbs that onto himself. So if he has 25,000 attack and they have 100,000, he will drain them all the way down to 25,000 and he will go up to 100,000, meaning that the lower his attack stat is, as long as it's up to 1/4 of theirs, the lower his is, the more attack they lose, which is kind of amazing. It kind of completely debilitates their highest damage dealer. So he tends to hit Bryn, Kurt, Bale, Detlaf. He really always hits one of those, and losing that damage dealer, if that is their only damage dealer, means that now the other enemy has a very hard time killing you. So he also corrodes their HP, which reduces their max HP by 30. 2 things about this. One, this affects HP related healing. So Bale, Detlaf, their healing drops. I believe Bryn as well, it drops. The damage that they take from this, because they now start at 70% HP, if it's Bryn, she automatically counts that towards her passive for damage taken, so she gets 54% extra. Is it 50? Yeah, 54% extra final damage right off the bat, which is not a major issue because quite honestly she was going to get that anyway. The things we know is Ymir will steal this attack stat even if he's exiled, even if the enemy is exiled. He keeps it even if they die. They permanently lose their attack even if he dies. So he does so much with this that for PvP he will instantly nullify one of their really strong heroes. So how do we use this? One, you need to keep his attack really, really low. That means that the way that I've geared him, The way that I've geared him is if you don't equip a full set of armor and you instead use 2 and 2 of 2 different sets, all you get is the HP bonus and you don't get any attack. And so this is one way to maximize his HP without raising his attack. You want to equip him with a basic HP rune or something that doesn't give regular attack. And you do not want to equip him with any artifact that gives attack. So I have a bone grip on him. Don't worry about that. The best one for him is probably Ragnarok because that doesn't give attack. For talents, you're going to want his T1 to be HP and so on and so forth. So back to how we use him. What this means is that even if he's low level, low star, low everything, as long as he's just on the team, he permanently affects their highest damage dealer. What this also means is that he doesn't need to be T4 on a T4 team. He doesn't need to be 10-star on a 10-star team. He can be 2 to 3 stars lower than everybody. In fact, having him at like T2, T1, T2, T3 is enough to actually have him compete with a T5 team simply because he ruins their attack. He takes it from a 6v6 to basically a 6v5. And so that's very useful for him. One other implication of that is that if you pull 4 rounds of keys for him, that's 7 guaranteed copies plus 1 if you make him T1. That's enough to get him to T3. That's enough to have a fully workable and usable and effective PvP hero from day one. You do not need him to be T5 red. He benefits from that, but he does not need to be there. This means that pound for pound, he is actually the single most effective non-heaven and hell PvP hero the game has ever seen. I can't say he's the best overall, because when you bring in heroes like Hodor, Aegina, the stuff that they can do is kind of a whole different level. But pound for pound, single hero effectiveness, he is all the way at the top. So, should you pull for him? I'm going to recommend that everybody that needs any help in PvP should build him. Everybody can make effect of him. If you don't have a full team, he's great support. If you do have a full team that could just use a little bit of help against heroes like Detlef and Brynn, he's great for debilitating them. If you're looking for honor fillers, he's great there. Now, the only people that really wouldn't see full effect is people that already have like 18 T5s in honor, but there's very few of us that have that, so I wouldn't worry about that situation. So really, I'm going to say people that need any sort of power in PvP, I highly recommend him, because once again, you do not need maximum 17 copies just to have a usable hero. And that's not the case for Heaven and Hell. So now, what we all come down to is the question is, will he be better than the Heaven and Hell that are coming next? Because we do know that in the hero cycle, the next hero is likely Heaven, and the next one after that is likely Hell. And the answer is we don't know. He might be good, he might not be. This is a risk you have to take, but what we do know is that pulling keys for him right now guarantees you a fully usable hero from day one. If you pull keys for a Heaven hero and you stop at T2, who knows when you will ever get the remaining copies? Who knows when you will ever be able to make that hero usable? So this is a very calculated risk that you will have to take, but I think it's worth it. If you have enough keys to pull for at least one of the Heaven and Hell heroes and go all in on them, I think it's a safe bet. So that is our summary of Ymir. I hope that it helps you decide whether or not you want him, because I really think he's useful, and we do really want to find out where his best uses are. The one thing that we have not decided yet is where his best cutoff point is. Does he want to be level 100, 180, 250, etc.? There's kind of going to be a delicate balance in having him be the right level of debilitating to the enemy and the right level of strong for you. I will say that when I built mine at T3 level 100, he was surviving very well against hits from Kurt and Bale at T5 red. So his survivability is pretty good if you can keep him there. And then if he drains their attack all the way down, he can still do just a little bit of damage. So we're going to have to find the right balance of support for him. And so hopefully you guys all pull and give me some numbers. I would love to know how he works best for you and how you did on your pulls. So that is all for Ymir. See you guys next time.